Welcome to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill DeMent, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Hole in the Wall drywall repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Hey, Bill.
Hey, James, talking about sharing our journey, huh?
Yeah,
man, our journey zigged when we thought it was going to zag about 7 or 8 months ago.
100%. I will say that we are coming off of a really important meeting, and I think we're all a little tired and amped up at the exact same time. So I think this is going to be a really fun podcast, because what's great is if you've listened to us long enough, you'll know that we have been partnering with a new organization for our franchise called FranGrowth. And we have a franchise development director, Andrew Mayers, who is part of that team. He comes down at least once a month, and we get to meet for our Meet the Team days, what they used to call Discovery Days. And for this Meet the Team Day, we've got 2 back-to-back. We did a special presentation today for the FBA consultants and brokers, and then tomorrow we have a Meet the Team Day for some candidates who want to purchase franchises. And for this one, we actually have the founder and the president of FranGrowth, who we're partnering with, Dan Glaser. He is here as well. So I want to introduce Andrew Mayers and Dan Glaser from FranGrowth. Welcome, fellas.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. Happy to be here.
Super happy about this. And again, like I said, we're tired and we're excited all at the same time. So this is a fairly informal, but I had the two of you in my office. I could not let this pass up without
Who knows when it may happen again.
It may not happen again. I was supposed to see Andrew every month, but I don't get Dan here very often. So
excited to be here.
So happy that you guys are both be able to be here if I don't get tongue-tied. And so listen, if people have not heard about FranGrowth before, why don't you take a second and just kind of let us know, well, what is FranGrowth and why people like us want to partner with you?
Yeah, FranGrowth is a professional franchise development organization. So we actually specialize in partnering with franchisors who are really looking to accelerate their growth. You know, there's a lot of franchisors who they've got a phenomenal business, they've got a great system, they have a great team in place, but they're trying to figure out, how do I go find qualified candidates and take them through a very detailed step-by-step evaluation process? How do I vet them? How do I find the rock stars who are going to be great franchisees? And how do I weed out the people that maybe aren't a great fit for the brand? It's a very complex process. And so that's what we do best. My team has decades and decades of experience, primarily growing home service franchisors. So obviously Hole in the Wall fits squarely right within that mix there. So I love franchising. I've been in franchising almost 20 years. I love entrepreneurship. I love helping entrepreneurs who have that itch, that entrepreneurial drive inside of them, but maybe they've been trapped and stuck in a corporate job for 20, 30 years, and they finally get to the place where they're ready to make that leap into doing something on their own. But they want the support and the structure of a franchise system to help guide them and support them. And so anyway, I love it. It's fun. It's what we do every single day. And we love partnering with brands like Hole in the Wall.
Yeah. You know, and we're not able to do what you do on our level.
No.
Okay. We're too small. We've not been around long enough. And frankly, we did this for a couple of years without you. And it was like swimming.
Well, it was like trying to speak a foreign language that you haven't learned yet.
Right.
It's such a different way of doing business. And one of the things I learned, just training myself early on, it's not an inexpensive thing that people are buying into, and it's not a quick sales process. And you're right. It's very detailed and very specific in how the steps are ordered. And man, it just takes decades to figure that out, doesn't it, Dan?
Yes. Aside from buying a home, this is probably the biggest investment that most people will ever make in their life. And aside from getting married, it's probably the biggest decision that they'll ever make in their life. So it's a not an insignificant thing to make that leap into business ownership. And so that's something we take very, very seriously when we're working with candidates, and again, also working with franchisors, because you have a 10-year relationship now with this owner, and you want to make sure it's someone who fits the culture, fits the profile of the right owner. They've got the skill sets, they have the background, they have the drive to be successful. And so there's a lot that goes into that. But when you make that match and then you see someone go launch and have success, it's incredible.
Right. But that process isn't necessarily fast, and it's not for everybody, right? And so you have to have somebody who's kind of on our side that can talk with the candidates and the brokers who are working with us. And so that's where Andrew comes in. Andrew is our director of franchise development. And when candidates come through the pipeline, I mean, Andrew, welcome
he's
again.
The point man.
He's
Isn't
the point man.
Yeah, for sure. I basically am responsible for going through that mutual evaluation process and ensuring that candidates are a good fit or not a good fit. And I think that process is so important, to Dan's point, because they are partnered with the franchisor for 10 years. And I think if you don't handle that process the right way, you're going to have higher turnover. It's going to be bad for the franchisee, the franchisor. And so that process, that system is so important in being detailed and being empathetic and being understanding and listening and really guiding clients the right way to the pathway that fits them best. So,
Right.
And you're not new to this either, right?
no, I've been at it about 8 years now, but I think my background being from coaching and teaching and counseling actually benefited me more in franchising, honestly, because sometimes I'm a counselor to a lot of the clients that I work with, and listening and understanding what it is they need and they want. And that allows me to serve the candidates best.
Well, let's work our way from inception to meet the team day and beyond, right? So if you are out there, you come across one of our Facebook ads, or you come across someone that might be in, like maybe it's a broker. How does this process work? You're someone who might be a potential candidate. You reach out, they enter our pipeline. What happens?
Yeah, that's kind of the two most common ways that people find us, right? They either find us organically, they find us online, or there's a lot of candidates who find us through a franchise consultant. They find someone who's helping guide them through the process, point them in the right direction, helping be a sounding board as they're going through their evaluation. So that's what my team does very well, is we've developed a lot of relationships with these consultant networks. That's what we were doing today. We had a group of franchise consultants from the FBA, the Franchise Brokers Association, here for about 6 hours, learning the ins and outs of hole-in-the-wall business models. So when they get back on the phone and talk to their clients, they are much more educated on how to present this brand as a possible option for those candidates that are looking for a home service or might be a good fit for a home service brand. So that's where we spend a lot of time on the front end, is developing those relationships, building those consultant networks that know and trust us, that when they have a candidate who fits the bill for this business, then they refer them to us. So that's typically how they enter the pipeline and talk to Andrew.
Right. And frankly, that industry is so crowded with franchises that a lot of those coaches don't realize that certain things even exist in their space that they want to present to their clients that could fit them really well. That's why having days like today, where we have coaches here and we get FaceTime with them as much as we possibly can make a difference in somebody's life, and making sure that they actually know that we exist.
Yeah, I'm sure for a new brand, that's got to be sort of the biggest challenge, is kind of breaking through all the noise, right, to get recognition.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. So when somebody comes into our mix and they start having a conversation, the thing that our team does and the thing that Andrew does so well is we really take time to get to know that candidate on a deep and personal level. We want to know, why are they even considering business ownership at this stage of life? You know what? If you've been in a corporate role for 20 or 30 years, why now, right? What led you to even say, yes, I want to learn more about the idea of starting a business or going into business for myself? I want to know, how does your spouse feel about the idea of you starting a business, right? That's a huge deal when you're making that leap, is, do you have that support structure at home? Do you have a spouse who's supportive of you launching a business? So how do they feel? You know, what types of skill sets are you bringing to the table in a business? How big do you want to scale? Are you looking for something where you can be an owner operator and it's just you, or are you actually looking to build a team or scale a much larger empire? And you know, we help with funding strategies. And so there's a lot that goes into it. But that first call, you know, Andrew's typically spending 45 minutes to an hour talking very little about hole-in-the-wall drywall repair. Maybe 15, 20% of the call is talking about this business. The other 80% of the call is talking about them, really understanding who they are, what their motivations are, why are they even entering this process to explore business ownership.
And to Dan's credit and Brandon Hare's credit, when they built FranGrowth, they built it with they want to serve the clients and candidates' best interest. And so they allow the developers, us, to really spend and pour in and serve the clients to the best of our ability. And he's right. Sometimes we talk about hole in the wall less than 5 minutes, the first conversation, because it's really getting to know them in depth as we tee up the second step in the process, where we do dive more into the brand we're specifically representing. And frankly, Dan knows this, I got approached by other brands, as many of us have, prior to joining FranGrowth. And I think it was that culture that we were allowed to serve the clients to the best of our ability that attracted us to work with them.
Right. And I heard Dan say earlier today when we had the franchise brokers here that they're, you guys aren't looking to try to sell 8 or 10 territories to somebody just to get high numbers. You're really vetting that candidate coming in to see what is their hopes and dreams and what are their resources, frankly. And let's, Dan said, let's get them 2 or 3 territories and give them a good chance to launch instead of buying 8 or 10 that they're never going to open.
Yeah, there's some other franchise development organizations out there that will try to push 5, 8, 10 territories on a new franchise owner. I think that is incredibly irresponsible. I think it is not the right approach. Someone can come in and be territory rich and operating capital poor, and that it doesn't matter if you own the entire world. If you don't have enough capital to really ramp the business up, you're not going to achieve what you're trying to accomplish. So we are always trying to right size the territory for the right candidate. Does that mean that we haven't awarded some larger territories? We have, but it's for the right person. Typically somebody who's coming in, with a team in place, they've got a strategy in place. They actually have the financial capability and tactical capability of scaling that size territory, but that is absolutely the exception, not the norm.
Right. And so this is a mutual evaluation process, right? So we're not trying to sell anything. We're just really evaluating their needs, which is what I love about it, because at any time through the process, they can jump or we can jump them at any time, right? That's right.
That's exactly right. It has to be a mutual fit because, again, I look at franchising like a marriage, right? It's a 10-year agreement. I saw a stat the other day, made me laugh. The average marriage in the U.S. today lasts 7.5 years, and the average franchise agreement is 10 years. So the average franchise agreement is actually longer than the average marriage in the U.S. today.
Right.
Think about that, right?
Interesting.
So it is, it's a big commitment both ways. And in fact, if you look at when a franchisee pays their franchise fee, a franchisor typically that barely, if at all, covers the cost to onboard them, train them, launch them, provide all the support, all the materials, everything that they're going to need to get up and running. In fact, typically the franchisor has more time and money and energy invested in that franchisee for the first year, 2 years than the franchisee does. That's right. So it's a big financial and time commitment both ways. And that's why it is a mutual evaluation process.
You got to find the right fit for the culture of the brand.
That's right.
Some brands, you might be able to have a different temperament. But for us, we're a very family culture here. We got to make sure that we're not getting involved with someone who's a hothead or who's not going to have integrity or may want to skirt the system a little bit. Plus, we want to make sure that we have someone who wants to make sure that they are taking care of their customers to the standards of hole in the wall. So once they kind of get through the first initial calls, what are some of the steps they have to kind of go through before we even get to see them?
Yeah, so even a business as simple as hole in the wall is, there's a lot to unpack, right? So it's kind of like eating an elephant. You got to do it a bite at a time. So there's no way for someone to come in and fully understand everything about this business model, the marketing, the training, the software we use, everything that's involved in a single phone call. And so that's where that step-by-step process where Andrew takes them through becomes so very important. So it's really kind of peeling the layer of the onion back a little bit, where every single call we get deeper and deeper into understanding what does the training look like and how do we handle marketing, and let's talk through the financials. How do you model out this business? Validating with other franchisees. That's a huge part of the process, getting on the phone and talking to other hole-in-the-wall franchise owners and hearing from them. Hey, what was your experience coming on board with the business? What was the training like? What kind of ongoing support do you feel like you're getting from hole-in-the-wall, from the franchisor? And then ultimately getting to the point where they get to meet you guys on a founders call where they meet the founders and they really get an understanding of the history of the business. How did you guys get started? Where are you at today? And really, where is the vision of the brand? Where are you guys wanting to take this for the next 5 to 10 years?
Right.
Yeah, and I would say, a lot of people will come into evaluating a franchise just saying, I've got the funding, I can do this. I've got a net worth of $1 million. I can come do it. And that's not how this process works. It's a process, not an event. And I always tell candidates, you got to have 3 things. You got to have character, capabilities, and cash. Like, it's not just about, yes, I have the money and I can do it. And that's why we have to go through that process to basically qualify the candidate. Do you have those things? Are those the things you have that align with what our values are as well, not just the funding, which is good too.
So we've talked with several brokers over the past few months, and a lot of the myths that they talk about is that people think franchises are brick and mortar, that they're, McDonald's of the world. And so we try to dispel those myths. And just because a franchise may cost, $100,000 to get into, that doesn't mean you have to have $100,000 cash, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. In fact, very few of the franchise owners that we bring into any of our brands are just writing a check for the entire business themselves. In fact, that's a big piece that we help them with in the process is we help them with funding strategy. So I would say the 2 most common ways that people are funding a franchise in kind of this investment range, call it the $100,000 to $200,000 investment range. One is through the Small Business Administration. So the SBA, if you're an SBA approved franchise, which Hole in the Wall is, they will fund the cost of the business with 0 personal collateral. That's a huge deal for people coming in where they don't have to leverage their home. They don't have to leverage any personal assets. Now, the SBA will take a leverage point on the business assets, the trucks and the equipment and those kind of things, but no personal collateral, 10-year term, no prepayment penalty. That's a phenomenal way of leveraging. Now, the candidate still has to qualify, right? They have to have good credit and strong debt to income ratio. And so the SBA has already vetted Hole in the Wall, but they're also going to vet the applicant as well. So you have to have be a strong applicant to apply for SBA. So that's one.
Did you know that there are over 140 million homes in the U.S.? 97% of them have walls and ceilings that are built using drywall. The drywall repair industry is simply enormous, valued at over $13 billion a year. We're Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair, and for years we have been perfecting the art of repairing drywall, developing and refining our systems, and strengthening our brand. Our business model is simple, scalable, and easy to learn. We believe it's a real game changer. We are successful drywall repair pros who decided to take our repair business to a higher level, growing both our franchise training and support to industry-leading standards. You'll benefit from our vast experience helping your franchise hit the ground running and achieve success quickly. We'll give you access to our marketing team that has created strategic programs designed to get your phone ringing and booking new business fast. Join a fast-growing leader in an exciting dynamic segment of the home service industry by franchising with Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair. Start building your own business and securing your own financial future today.
The other way that is just as common, but I think misunderstood and a lot fewer people know about, at least in the beginning until they go through this process, is using retirement funds to fund a business. You can actually, the IRS allows you to roll funds out of a retirement asset into a business without paying taxes, without paying a 10% penalty, and without taking a loan against it. So if you're pre 59 and a half years of age, if you pull any money out of your 401k, you're going to get hit with 2 things, right? The IRS is going to hit you with your income tax rate and a 10% penalty. Depending on your income tax rate, you could be a 20, 30% haircut right off the top. That's a horrible idea. Through a rollover, however, you can incorporate as a C Corp that issues shares of stock. Your 401k then buys shares of ownership in your business. You roll the funds over. You pay 0 taxes, no penalty. And unlike an SBA, there's no debt service involved either. It's not a loan. So it's a tax-free, penalty-free, and debt-free way of funding a business. So I'm a huge fan of retirement rollover funding. I think it's one of the best ways of capitalizing a business today. And some people do a combination of the two. We have a brand new franchise owner coming online in Philadelphia, and they're doing some out of their retirement rollover, combining it with an SBA. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. Sometimes it's a combination of the two.
So you got somebody they've lived many years with a company. Maybe it's an engineer. We get a lot of engineers, right?
We do.
And they've got a hefty 401k. They got a hefty retirement. So this is really an option that they can roll that over and start a business without having to go into big debt with an SBA loan then.
That's right.
And also it decreases the overhead as they start the business, right? So instead of paying a monthly SBA fee of $1,800, they're paying a small, 401k management rollover fee, which is what, $200 or $300. So
yeah,
it cuts,
$200. So when you're eliminating debt service out of starting a business, what does that mean? It means you get to break even much faster, and it means you get to cash flow positive much faster. So we still do a lot of SBAs because it's a great way to leverage. But anytime someone has any decent balance in their retirement, I always suggest at least learn about the rollover program, understand how it works, and then make a decision on whether that's the right way for you or not.
and Dan's been doing this a lot longer than I have, but from my experience, no matter how much capital they have, I have yet to see somebody pay for all of their investment with cash alone. Well, you have somebody pay for the franchise fee, yes, but they will use a combination of SBA, unsecured loans, 401k rollover, and cash typically. What is your
That's right.
experience been?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. That's it.
All right. So they have to go through funding qualifications. They go through economics calls with your team really before they even talk to us. Sometimes they even get validated by other franchisees before they talk to us. Then we meet with them. Bill and I meet with them for what we call a founders call, an executive team call. And we just kind of meet with them one-to-one, or we just meet with them without a FranGrowth rep there, normally. And we answer their questions, and we kind of get to know each other on a little more of a personal scale. We like to invite the spouses if they're there. That'd be wonderful, so we get to know them, because obviously business is, marriage is an agreement, so is this. And if the wife doesn't want to do it, but the husband does, this might have a lower chance of success. So once they get through that process, they're excited. We still see that they're a good candidate. Then we do what? We invite them to meet the team day.
That's right. Yeah. So two critical steps kind of halfway through and then towards the end of the process. One is disclosing with the FDD, right? The franchise disclosure document. So that is a government regulated by the Federal Trade Commission document that gives a candidate everything and anything they would want to or need to know about a franchisor. And so I tell people all the time, franchising is one of the most transparent investments you will ever make, because everything about the franchisor must be disclosed. That's why it's called a disclosure document, right? So the audited financials of the franchisor, if there's been any bankruptcies or litigation, the bios of the leadership team, it's all in that document. And so that's an important step. We disclose candidates. Andrew walks them through, not page by page. We don't read a 200-page document with them on the phone, but we do guide them. Hey, here's what sections to look at. Here's what you need to go find, the most important information that you're looking for. And then obviously, if they want to read it cover to cover, which a lot of times engineers do, then they will end up doing that. But towards the end of the process, to your point, James, which is what we're doing tonight and tomorrow, is they come out here to Orlando and they attend what we call Meet the Team Day. Meet the Team Day is my favorite part of this process. It is a ton of fun. It is really where a candidate gets an opportunity to get a peek behind the curtain of who the franchisor really is, right? They get a chance to sit down and break bread at dinner tonight. We've got two groups coming in, one from St. Louis, one from Boise, Idaho. And so we get a chance to sit down and break bread with these folks and spend time getting to know them. They get time to spend getting to know us. And then when we go through Meet the Team Day, we really peel back the curtain, so to speak, and give them a deep insight into the business and the team and the training and the systems. They get a chance to meet, our marketing team and our training team and our sales training team. And, who are the people, as great as Andrew is, and Andrew builds a great relationship with the people he works with. At the end of the day, when they become a franchise owner, Andrew's not going to be the one who's going to be training them or supporting them on a day-to-day basis. He'll be on the sidelines cheering them along every single step of the way, but they really need to get an understanding of, hey, who is the team that's going to be behind me? And is this a team of people I feel like I can lock arms with and we can all row in the same direction? So that's what Meet the Team Day is. And for us as a franchisor, it's also our opportunity to evaluate them, right? I look at things like when we go to dinner, are they courteous to the server? Do they hold the door when you walk in the restaurant, right? if somebody's a jerk to a waitress, I can promise you they're going to be a jerk to a customer when they become a franchisee, right?
Yeah,
So
it's an interesting insight.
I look at those kind of things at Meet the Team Day, see how people interact with waitresses, see how they interact with other candidates that are at Meet the Team Day, because it's our opportunity as a franchisor to vet and evaluate one more time. Is this somebody we want to let into the hole in the wall family?
What types of questions they ask too is
Absolutely.
huge.
Absolutely.
One of the things I found interesting about your process was following Meet the Team Day, you have a questionnaire for them. And that's for both the candidate and a spouse, perhaps, or two partners, if we've got two partners. And I found that fascinating.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's really a self-evaluation questionnaire, and it's designed for them to do just that, right? Look in the mirror after Meet the Team Day and self-evaluate. Hey, am I still feeling after Meet the Team Day the way I was a week ago, a month ago, 2 months ago when I started this process? What questions do I still have lingering that I want answered when I get back home? And that's part of what Andrew uses to present candidates after Meet the Team Day for final approval. So again, as great as Andrew does not get a vote on who gets awarded a franchise. It's the leadership and executive team here that we've assembled are the only ones who get a vote on awarding a franchise. So part of what Andrew uses to present someone for final approval is that self-evaluation questionnaire. So it's important for two pieces. It's important for them, and it's important for us as well.
I also think, just to highlight a couple of things, if for those of you who are listening who aren't in franchising at the moment, there's a couple of things that are very unique about this process that you wouldn't see in other franchisors. One of them being the FDD. If you listen a lot in the franchise disclosure process of other franchisors, they're just going to send the FDD out to candidates and say, here you go, call me if you have any questions. And so for us, it's really important in Dan's process that we go through it, and a lot of FranGrowth's process that we go through it with them to give them ease of mind and understanding. Because for many of these people, it is their first time ever putting eyes on this type of document.
That's right.
And you look at a 350-page, and Bill, I've heard you talk about this. Okay, what is an FDD? Like, most people don't know what that is.
Well, that's where I started.
And then you throw it in front of them, and you've got all this language and fees, and you're like,
Well,
okay,
it's a legal document in legalese.
So somebody makes sense of this for me, right? And so going through it with them for an hour, clarifies a lot of the questions that they're going to have, and they're going to ask you those questions anyways. And the other thing is the Meet the Team Day in the process is so essential that for us, in our process, and why I like it is that we don't award a franchise at a discovery day or a Meet the Team Day. It is, we are evaluating you, you are evaluating us. You go home, you think about it, you talk about it, you pray about it with your family. And only when you are 110% ready or committed can I even present you for award. That is very, very important psychologically for the candidates for when they do move and they're ready to go and they sign their agreements, that they are fully committed. Keeps retention rates high, keeps them, building their revenues, doing well, being successful.
Yeah, and it's a federal, right? It's a franchise disclosure document. That's a federal level rules.
Correct.
So every FDD that's out there has to follow a set of guidelines. There's multiple items in them.
That's
you
right.
have to follow a set right?
23 items in every FDD. They're all laid out exactly the same. What goes in there, how many years back you have to disclose certain information. That's all regulated by the Federal Trade Commission. So that's, again, why I say franchising is one of the most transparent investments you'll ever make, because it's all right there in black and white in the disclosure.
In the disclosure, like, there's certain things we just can't talk about until the candidate is disclosed.
Correct.
And then it's almost like when you buy a gun, there's a waiting period. You can't just be disclosed and buy a franchise immediately, right? What's that process?
Yeah, the Federal Trade Commission requires that you disclose someone 14 days before they sign a franchise agreement. We're typically disclosing someone 30 days-ish before they sign a franchise agreement. So 14 is the required, but we typically like to go longer than that. And then you're also required to hold the actual franchise agreement for 7 days per the Federal Trade Commission. So they can run concurrently. So the 7 can run inside the 14, but they don't have to. So there's a 14-day hold on the FDD and a 7-day hold on the franchise agreements. And again, that's part of our process at FranGrowth. We make sure we stay FTC compliant on all disclosures, every franchise owner we bring into a brand, all that, those systems are documented and buttoned up as well.
Fabulous. Well, I know that we've got, today was almost like a show and tell for the brokers, but it really was a Meet the Team Day. I loved how FBA called it. It's like, because we call it Meet the Team Day, other places call it Discovery Day. They called it Disco Day. I kind of thought that was fun.
Let's boogie.
That's
Let's
right.
boogie.
Yeah.
And then we got one tomorrow, big. And of course, here at Hole in the Wall, we're trying to do them at least monthly. So we've got these. It's great because you get to meet the people and you get to kind of really see them. And listen, we peel back the curtain, and they see everything. They meet the team. That's where, they meet multiple people on our team. We have multiple presenters. And so it is a real good chance. And then the close rate's what, like about 85% for those meet the team days, right?
Yeah, and the reason for that is we weed people out early in the process. So I don't want to waste our time, your time, a candidate's time, flying all the way down here to Orlando if we're not 98% confident this is the kind of person we want in the business. And they should be 98% confident that this is the right business for them, right? They should have gone through this 6 to 8 week process with Andrew to even get to this step to come to a meet the team day. So they've done their due diligence on us. We've done our due diligence on them. And so when we bring someone to meet the team day, there's a high degree that we both are going to move forward and get in business with each other. Now, does that mean we've never disproved someone after meet the team day? We absolutely have, right? I mean, it's right. Bringing them down here, meeting somebody in person. There have been cases where somebody in person is not quite what I thought they were on the phone, and they've gotten home. And we actually just had one with another brand this week who attended to meet the team day. And, we had a long conversation afterwards and collectively made a decision. Hey, this person is not the right fit for this brand for reasons X, Y, and Z. And it was, we spent a lot of time mulling it over, but at the end of the day, we just did not feel comfortable moving forward with this person. And they went all the way through attending Meet the Team Day. And we called and said, hey, you might be a great fit for another brand. You're just not a great fit for this brand. So that does happen, right? But we try to eliminate that as much as possible up front and weed the people out that aren't a good fit. So when we bring someone to Meet the Team Day, we want to make sure that, hey, there's a high chance that they're a good fit for us and we're a good fit for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know we've had a long day. We got a long night ahead of us, another long day tomorrow. Is there anything you want to touch on before I let you guys go?
I would just say, the thing I love at FranGrowth is working with emerging brands. It is so much fun. I love working with founders like you guys, Bill and James, who are just passionate about your business. You're passionate about franchisee success. I worked at a franchisor for 16 years. And when I started there, this was back, when you get paper checks every 2 weeks, like a paper check stub. And on our check stub, every other Friday, it said on there, this check is made possible by our franchisees, right? And it was just that subtle reminder that, hey, the only reason you're getting a paycheck today is because of our franchisees out there. And it kept it really top of mind. And so as that franchisor specifically, and a lot of franchisors get very, very large and very corporate, you can lose a lot of that feel sometimes. And so that's what I love about working with emerging brands like Hole in the Wall is that's you guys through and through. Like, you guys are franchisee focused. You're passionate about what you do. And I think people are attracted to that. I mean, you have an incredible business model on top of all that, but incredible business model partnered with incredible people with amazing support, incredible culture. And that's what it's all about.
Well, we connect with you as well because we've observed that you guys are picking up additional brands. And I don't know if you want to take just a minute to just kind of talk about your brands there, but I know every year you're picking up 2, 3, 4, and it seems to be accelerating.
Yeah, it is to some degree. I mean, we're very careful, just like we bring in on candidates. We're very careful on which franchisors we bring on board. So we'll add maybe another 2 or 3 this year. We say no to most that approach us, and we say yes to just a handful that again really have something unique, the right business model, and our sweet spot is service. So. I don't want to say never, but I would have a hard time bringing on a food brand or a fitness brand or something like that. We are very, very focused on the service space. We have a commercial painting company called Go Painting. We have a home staging and furnishing sales company called Set the Stage. We have a duct cleaning franchise called Mr. Duct Cleaner. We actually have a moving company based on Austin, Texas called Square Cow Movers. We have a roofing franchise called Honest Abe Roofing. We have a home property maintenance company called Home Smile. So swimming, kids swimming, Hudson Valley Swim. So, all service brands, right? They're not brick and mortar. They're not retail. They're not huge overhead. They're not big investment brands. They're all businesses that you can start with a very relative investment and get to profitability very, very quickly.
Well, I've got to know many of the brands and many of the owners, and I've got to tell you, everyone you brought on so far has been nothing but stellar.
Yeah,
So,
it's great people.
And it's
So-
all about serving too. That's what's really great. Home services, it says it's in the name, but in reality, we are serving not only our candidates, but the candidates, if they get awarded, they are serving their community. And those are the type of brands that FranGrowth are bringing on. It's very, very important to what they do.
Yeah. So if someone wants to see your brands and look at your website, what's that address?
Yeah, you can just go to frangrowth.co. So that's Fran, F-R-A-N, growth.co, and take a look at our brands, look at our team, look at our process. And again, we are here to empower our franchisors to do what they do best, which is to train, support, mentor, coach, grow their franchisees, and partner with somebody who can handle the franchise development process from start to finish.
Right. We don't need people who know a lot about business. We need people who have an insatiable desire to want to learn and know more. And that's really what you need.
That's right.
Absolutely. Love it.
Outstanding.
Well, thank you, fellas. Off to the next round. Everyone, thank you for
Awesome.
listening. Thanks, Dan
Thank you,
and
guys.
Andrew, for being here. This has been another great show.
We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.